The fourth Amazon Summit is underway in Brazil as head of states will discuss the strategy to preserve the common rainforest territory. Thousands of Haitians demonstrated in Port-au-Prince on Monday to protest against security in the country. Niger's military coup leaders and U.S. acting under Secretary of State Victoria Nuland met Tuesday but failed to reach an agreement over the country's political situation. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Plazabal from TeleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Tuesday, head of states and high officials of the South American nations gathered in Belém, the capital of the Brazilian state of Pará, in the fourth Amazon Summit. The event is headed by Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva and is attended by the 8th president of the countries of the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization. At today's summit, the governors and environmental minister will aim to strengthen environmental protection mechanisms and halt deforestation in the Amazon by 2030, as well as develop sustainable development policy for the country and the region. Independent governments and monitor the impact of climate change on the rainforest and the Amazon ecosystem. Lula thanked the regional governors whose initiative against deforestation, organized crime, and sustainable development will be the focus of their interventions. In his speech, the governor of Pará stated that the delegations attending this event share common objective in the need to preserve the values of the men and women of the region.
A house in which all the ones present here share the same thoughts, the same convictions. With the main goal of preserving based on the values of men and women in the region. Defending the main reasons why we are defending these values. We don't need to transform in order to produce. We need to analyze past events in order to be able to solve the current problems and be able to develop our current situation.
And also in the working meeting of the fourth Amazon Summit, Lula da Silva stressed that the event marks the beginning of a new era in which respect for indigenous people will be the central axis.
Because in this summit, a new dream born. For a long time, the dreams of others have been imposed to us, which has apart us from our dream, our Amazonian dream.
The Brazilian leader pointed out that during years of looting, the Amazon indigenous leaders and the community in general suffered violence just for trying to protect what belongs to them.
During this time, the leaders, environmental leaders, indigenous leaders, suffered all kinds of attacks and violence just because they were trying to protect a territory that belongs to the people and has always belonged to the people.
Colombian President Gustavo Petro warned about how the climate crisis is caused by industrialization.
Politics is mostly focused on the economic and scientific breakthroughs.
Una brasileña está a punto de ser la encargada del panel de expertos de Naciones Unidas. Lo que ha determinado es, uno, que la crisis climática se produce por el consumo
What we can
de
tell
petróleo,
is
carbón,
mostly because the
y similares.
environmental crisis that we are
Es decir,
facing right now
por
is
la
the
energía
result
del capitalismo,
of
desde la revolución
the greed of capitalism and the
con esa energía
constant
se han
need
alcanzado
for
las
industrialization.
productividades que hoy existen en el mundo.
The president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, warned about how in the case of his country, it will be necessary to reconcile the reforestation of the Amazon when there are sectors that only seek to exploit it.
We will have to see, in case of Colombia, how to protect rural areas.
Como el ser económico amazónico, que los indígenas son nuestro principal aliado, lo entienden, pero los demás no.
We need to protect this area, which is something indigenous people understand, mainly because it's where they live, but the rest of the citizens need to fully understand and be aware of the importance that this matter has.
Para que se revitalice, es decir, para que se deje crecer la selva de nuevo. ¿Cuánto vale eso? En cada país.
We need to leave the Amazonas for a while and give it some time to recover, to regrow, to be able to recover from all the damages that we have caused.
In the same context, Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez highlighted the importance of governmental action.
I think that it's also important to highlight that it's the government's responsibility to create those ecological alternatives that we need. This is not something that we have to lay on the shoulders of the science. We definitely need the help of scientists, but we cannot give all the responsibility to them. It's the government's responsibility to take action in this matter.
From Venezuela, via social media, President Nicolás Maduro praised the work of the host country and the delegations participated in the summit, and said in the social network X that we work, effort, and in concrete plans ready for action that will advance together in the deforestation, sanitation, and recovery of the Amazon for the welfare of the indigenous people. The Venezuelan leader also stressed that the region is moving towards a new humanity. On Monday, at least 3 indigenous people of the Tembe people were shot with firearms in the city of Tomeaçu, in the northeastern Brazilian state of Pará. The attack hit 3 people, 2 women and 23-year-old young man who, despite being shot in the back, was taken to the police station and remains in custody. The attack took place when an emergency mission coordinated with the Brazilian Nation Human Rights Council was on its way to the municipality to investigate allegations of serious human rights violations. The indigenous community, which was waiting for the mission, informed the councillors that they believed the shootings were the responsibility of people linked to the multinational company Brazil Biofuels (BBF), which produces palm oil in the region. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you find news in different formats, new dates, and more. All the studies coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. Honduran President Xiomara Castro inaugurated 33 modernized sport facilities on Monday as a policy to address systematic violence and get young people out of gangs.
In my government, that you have access to sport fields, a space that the maras and gangs had taken away from our young people, a right that from a long time has been denied in areas of basketball, soccer, and multi-purpose courts.
In addition to offering a balance of the works carried out since her mandate, Castro highlighted the support her government maintains for the Honduran people in spite of the attack received from certain groups.
They may attack us, defame us, slander us, and conspire against my government, but they can never deny that we have always been on the side of the people.
Thousands of Haitians demonstrated in the streets of Port-au-Prince on Monday to protest against the security situation. They denounced that armed gang force telling the people to move from their homes. The crowd unanimously demanded protection measures against the action of the gangs, which they denounced are forcing them to become internal refugees. The demonstrators also criticized the authorities' inaction and along the route threw stones at institutions and raised barricades. From January to March in Haiti, over 1,600 people have been killed injured or kidnapped, nearly a 30% increase compared to the last 3 months of 2022, according to the latest UN report.
In the streets to ask for security. We ask Ariel Henry for security in the country because people can't live in their houses. People cannot live in a country where the leader of a gang wants to take over the suburbs neighborhood.
On Monday, Guatemala presidential candidate Bernardo Arevalo, during a televised debate prior to the August 20th runoff election, assured that Guatemala is going through a historic movement to leave behind corruption.
At a historic moment when we have the possibility of turning the page of this period of decades and governments characterized by this corruption. We ask that this August 20th you don't lose that desire and turn into a vote that can effectively mark the moment where we as a society live aside. We begin to leave the swamp of institutionalized corruption in which we live now.
The president of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, ruled out on Tuesday that his country will join the BRICS group made of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. During his morning conference, López Obrador said that for economic reasons, for reasons of neighborhoods, for geopolitical reasons, Mexico will continue to threaten the North American alliance known as TMEC and all of America. He added that this integration has to take place through the Americas to achieve something similar to what the European Union is in the Americas, the region. However, he urged the U.S. political class to change unsuccessful policies and to understand the importance of Latin America and the Caribbean as a region. He pointed out that it will, without doubt, be the most important in the world. U.S. President Joe Biden tours the western United States on Tuesday to make a difference from the 2024 election. According to the White House, the president's tour will stop on Tuesday in Arizona, then New Mexico and Utah until August 10th. Biden is heading to the part of the country to promote this administration achievements with the Inflation Reduction Act, when the year awaited on 16 for his enactment. The legislation is a reduced version, what is left of Biden's original and more ambitious plan, which he called Rebuild Better. The current law proposes an extended package of measures to combat climate change and boost clean energy, issues that are high on the agenda of the head of the executive mansion. Biden, who will seek re-election in 2024 and could face Trump in a rematch fight, is willing to raise his approval ratings. According to Army Procurement Chief Doug Bush, over the past weekend, the delivery of the first batch of U.S.-made M1 Abrams tanks to Ukraine in the coming months was approved. The confirmation comes after the United States promised earlier this year that it would send up to 31 Abrams tanks to the Ukraine government. Likewise, in midway, the U.S. media reported that hundreds of Ukrainian military personnel began training in Germany in the operation and maintenance of these combat vehicles. During the press conference, Bush said that they are on the way to Europe along with ammunition, spare parts, full equipment, and repair facilities. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at TeleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, sub-stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's more recent events. Final short break, don't go away. We go live, and Brazilian Minister of Foreign Affairs Mauro Vieira makes a statement on Amazon Summit.
Republic of Congo, Germany, Norway, also St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the pro tempore presidency. All these countries came together and represented a great list of international organizations and representatives of other entities. The president, the minister of the government of the United Arab Emirates, also the president of the Amazonian Parliament, also the General Secretary, Alexandra Moreira. Today morning, I made a history about the following and the representative of the member countries, and then other about the invited countries and the international organizations. Today's meeting was very productive. The Declaration of Belém was approved. It has a little more than 100 paragraphs, and all they are of great interest for the Amazonian community, for education, for knowledge, for joint action against illegal trafficking of wood and minerals, science and technology, health, and all areas of interest. Also, a big important part of this declaration is the knowledge of the treaty of the Amazonian Treaty. The seat of the organization is in Brazil, and the second level of heads of state and government, we agree that the Amazonian Treaty must be strengthened through a series of missions. All mandates that presidents approved and this provides this treaty with a bigger muscle, the bigger power. We are already doing our part. There was a time for the installation of facilities at national level. A series of initiatives were also debated upon. The Amazon will be an integral part of the action of this treaty and this community. Of course, there were other initiatives we talked about that are contained in the declaration. Now, I don't have them here. This was a great point of coincidence of all presidents. Also, we talked about the sustainable development of the Amazon, always having into account all the inequalities and imbalances we have in these communities living there and around the Amazon. It is very important to say that we had a presidential meeting about the Amazon. The previous three ones perhaps had lesser reach and importance. In this one, we try to include member countries and non-member countries of this Amazonic Treaty. the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Indonesia. These countries also have tropical forests and rainforests. We need common action to better examine the situation with countries that also possess big forest areas. All the countries were also invited. Other two countries. They are very interested in all these questions. All international organizations are involved. The United Nations, FAO, the General Secretary, the Secretary of United Nations for the agreements on climate change, the fund for the environment, the environmental fund of the United Nations, and also I already mentioned the Amazonian Parliament. Then thus the general picture of what we have done and what we did today. The meeting of ministers will be held at a presidential level. At the end of this meeting, a declaration, the text of a declaration about the forest will be approved. That's the program. President Lula worked very hard for the organization of this event, for this meeting of the Amazonian Court. He announced two big initiatives. The project of summoning all these actors, and happily we are going to be able to do it within the agreed timetables. There has also been a very hard diplomatic work of the Latin American group in the Brazilian candidacy. There is going to be an announcement. It is already official in Brazil. Brazil had bigger votes, and this will be included in the documentation. I just wanted to add that the participation in this meeting is very important at presidential levels, because it also had the participation of social societies. On Sunday, we had dialogues, Amazonic dialogues, very intense. More than 400 events, actually, and meetings. Every area had 6 representatives. Together with the heads of states of the Amazonic Treaty. The meeting of heads of states mobilized a lot of opinions and peoples. It covered every area and had the participation of native peoples. They are covered every area, education, health, environment. This was organized by a lot of ministers and personnel involved with the presidency of the Republic. That was what I wanted to say. What has happened, what happened today, and how tomorrow is going to be. Good afternoon, Minister. I would like to know about the structures and if Belém is answering to the expectations of the federal government of Brazil. I had the pleasure of knowing Belém before. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of free time to visit the city so as often as I wanted. The city has every possibility. It is a state that has a very rich cuisine. This is going to awaken the curiosity of every participant in this event. That's why we wanted to make this meeting here in Belém. So we had certainty that the city would be able to meet every expectation. Good afternoon. From Saudi Arabia. Brazil is coming closer to a lot of countries of the world, even Arab countries. How do you think these relationships with all these countries can help the Amazon? And how do you believe Brazil is ready? How ready do you think Brazil is for next meeting? All these relationships are very favorable for the region and for Brazil, of course. Every participant agreed that collaboration is paramount. So, Democratic Republic of Congo and Indonesia, present here too, can also make progress. The United States is also important. We need to make the most of this experience. In only 4 months, this next meeting will be taken place. The president of COP28 is going to talk about it tomorrow. It is very important to know different viewpoints. Without a doubt, the president hopes to take to this next meeting in New York a full relation of these meetings we've been having in the General Assembly of the United Nations about the climate change. This is a topic that is an integral part of all our agendas here. BBC News Brazil. BBC News Brazil. President Gustavo Petro talked about those who denied. Do you think the looking for foreign resources to protect the Amazon will be enough? Do you believe all these topics are relevant? The region, do you believe the region is united enough for COP28? At the end, there were understandings about all these questions. Brazil, since the 70s, began a transition. And this will have a conclusion in the future. From the 70s, we have policies about fossil fuels. We have a way cleaner energy matrix than most countries of the rest of the world. We have all the opportunities of continue growing in this matter about solar energy, and we coincide in this matter with President Petro. Hello, Renata Baranda. I wanted to insist in the question of my colleague. I wanted to know about zero emissions and about the exploration for oil deposits. How can the position of President Petro impact the negotiations? The declaration is very long. I haven't had the possibility of reading all in detail. The position of Colombia is not negative. It is a convergent position, and every country will have to follow their own path. So we don't have a totally oil-dependent energy matrix. So I am certain that our region, united, is going to be able to bring the attention of the world upon the Amazon, so we can organize concrete action. I believe it is very important that we have funds And I believe we need to have a direct activity and impact on the environment. There's a program called Amazon Always. The founding members, the Latin American countries, and finance ministers are very clear about it, about the funding of actions to preserve the Amazon. Thank you very much.
During his speech, Maru said that all these countries came together to protect the Amazon region and the meeting was very productive. He also pointed out that the representatives of the invited countries have a huge interest in integrating together in different areas such as education, health, and others. The Amazon region will be an important part of action of all communities gathered during the meeting. They also talk about the sustainable development of the Amazon, especially inequality and the imbalance that exists in the Amazon region. He also pointed out that in the previous meeting has led reach and importance. However, in this meeting they included more members, hence the significance, and there were more action must be done in order to achieve the results needed. Moreover, international organizations were also involved, such as United Nations, FAO, Organization on Climate Change, Environment, and others. Furthermore, he stressed that the text of the declaration is going to be approved and that the President Lula worked very hard to have this meeting today. Moreover, he added that the participation of all the people involved is extremely meaningful, especially at all presidential levels. On Sunday, there will be other meetings in which there will be different representatives and it will include the opinions of all the participants. Every area will be covered, especially education, health, and is going to be organized by several ministers. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Ana Nebrosabal. Thank you for watching.